What's going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream, and here we go again. Same old, just a different day, as DMX once said, people. You know, Arsenal players being injured should not even be a surprise to any Arsenal fan. It's like water being wet, the sky being blue or grey in England. We're used to it, people. We are used to it. Do you know one thing? And I'm going to be totally honest. Do you know what all this does to me as an Arsenal fan? It just makes me say to myself, withdraw yourself a little bit from the situation. Don't hype yourself up too much. Don't build your hopes up. Don't think that we're winning the title this year. Just get on with it. And whatever happens, happens. Because that's all I'm doing right now. I told you this in the summer. People said to me, how come you're not going mad in these streams? I said, bro, it's summertime, fam. I'm enjoying myself. I was in Miami Beach, chilling. You know what I'm saying? I had a good summer, people. I'm not letting Arsenal mash up my summer. And look, people were telling me 7 out of 10 window. I gave it 4.5, 5. 7, 8 out of 10. It's been a great window, they told me. I said, okay, we'll see. We'll see when a few players drop out. Now, look, people are saying we're in an injury crisis. We're in an injury crisis, apparently. We've got 2 players injured. Should that be a crisis? That we've got 2 players injured? Not really. It shouldn't be. And we're going to break it all down. Things can change quickly. First of all, we don't know how long Martin Odegaard is out for. It doesn't look good. Second of all, I say this all the time, winning fixes everything in football. Winning fixes everything. Because if we beat Tottenham on Sunday, everything calms down. Like LSU said, the sky's not falling, but it just feels like a familiar story as Arsenal fans. It just feels like a familiar story. It's not all doom and gloom, but we do have a problem. We have a big problem. We have a big problem. How many times do we get ourselves in a good position, don't do enough in the transfer window, then a few injuries turn up, then the players that you've got to bring in for the players that come out of the team are not good enough, then we drop points, then we fall out of title races, then we find excuses, then we go back to square one again the following summer, because what they start doing, they start linking us with players to get us excited, to get over what's just gone wrong the previous season. And round we go. I've said it before, people. Being an Arsenal fan is like watching the movie Titanic and pretending you don't know what's going to happen. Like, there's an iceberg. You need to start turning out the way of it. We just keep smashing into the iceberg and going, damn, I didn't think it would happen this time. There's an iceberg in front of you, bro. We're going to talk about it. Whose fault is it? Where does the blame lay, people? Is it the Kroenkes? Did they tighten the bank account too much this summer that Edu couldn't do his job properly? Or do we have to look at Edu? Or do we look at both of them? A lot of you will realise I've been critical of Mikel Arteta in the past, and I still stand by a lot of what I said, but I am not blaming Mikel Arteta for what has happened at this football club over the summer. It's been an absolute disgrace. It's been an absolute disgrace. Now, somebody messaged saying, what, you know, with those injuries and suspensions, any club would struggle. This ain't just about Edu. I said, cool, fair enough. Let's explain the situation. You've got 2 injuries and 1 suspension, right? I said, in fact, let me get the tweet up. Let's get the tweet up. Because, you know, I don't want to look wise after the event. We all knew this. You were all smart enough to understand what was wrong at Arsenal and what is wrong at Arsenal. As I always said, people, the problem we have as a fan base, particularly social media, Arsenal fans, they're not prepared to take responsibility. They won't hold the club accountable for things that go wrong. Everything is somebody else's fault. That's the major problem at Arsenal. But let's just have a little discussion. August the 27th, a tweet I put out. 3 areas we look short. A proven goal scorer, a creative player to challenge Odegaard, August the 27th, and a right winger to challenge Saka. Let's see what happens in the next few days. We got Sterling. Well, yeah, that's not enough. But he could be cover there for Saka and play on the left. We didn't get the proven goal scorer, and we didn't get the creative player to challenge Martin Odegaard. I mean, let's put it this way. It doesn't have to be, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out Martin Odegaard he's an influential player in this team creatively. There's no doubt about it. The 2 players that you would look at and go, well, if he comes out, they can go into that position. Emile Smith-Rowe and Fabio Vieira. Now, let's break those 2 down. You sold Fabio Vieira. You didn't sell him. You loaned Fabio Vieira back to the club that you paid 35 million for. So you gave them 35 million pounds. 2 years later, you gave them the player. You basically just got 35 million and dashed it. Just threw it away, right? The second one, Smith-Rowe, you sold him for 34 million pounds. Okay, I always said in the summer, Smith-Rowe, I don't mind him going as long as you upgrade him. If you don't do it. When your phone's due for an upgrade, you take it to the shop and you get the better version of it. We basically given our phone to the shop and walked out with no phone. We've got the pager back out. We're back in the smelly phone box on the corner of the street looking for change. It don't make no sense. Some guys message me going, oh, who did you want Arsenal to buy? Messi, Kevin De Bruyne, he's giving it all that. Sarcasm. I said, no, how about Danny Olmo? Had a fantastic Euros, 50 million was available. How about Xavi Simons? Good creative player, was available, went on loan to Leipzig. How about Eze? Boyhood Arsenal fan, desperate to play for the club, 60 million release clause. How about Eze? He hasn't responded to me since. Because Arsenal fans, for some reason, we have become victim FC at Arsenal. We are victim FC people. Nothing is Arsenal's fault online. Everything is everyone else's fault. The referees hate us. The Premier League hates us. You can't sign players, transfers. Who do you want us to sign, Curtis? That's what they say to me all the time. I wanted a striker. Yeah, but who do you want us to sign? No one's available. Wasn't Osimhen available? Wasn't Tony available? Wasn't Gyökeres available? But apparently not. They wanted Sesko. They didn't get Sesko. We're getting rejected by RB Leipzig players. Red Bull. It's a Red Bull. It's an energy drink football club. Lucozade FC, Gatorade FC. Man said, no, I don't want to go to Arsenal. I'm going to stay at Gatorade FC. Red Bull Leipzig. Crazy. But when we knock, it's a different knock. It's a different knock, apparently. When we knock, we are impossible to ignore. Arsenal are at the door. Quick, answer. The big bad wolf's here. Sesko said, I'm good, bro. I'll stay at the energy drink club in Germany. I'll take my chances. Cool. RB Leipzig. They're in pot 1 in the Champions League, by the way. The energy drink club are in pot 1. We're in pot 2. But when we knock, it's a different knock. It's the big bad wolf. So the 2 players we let go in the creative area, we don't replace them. Odegaard gets injured. Now let's talk about the other thing. We're going to talk about this Odegaard injury. Martin Odegaard got injured last night. I'm going to come to your super chat shortly, people. I'm in flow right now. I have to flow. Hit the like button and subscribe. Big up everyone locked in. Appreciate you all tuned in. Martin Odegaard left the pitch in tears, people. Sure, most of you have seen the video or the picture. His ankle, gone over on it. I did do my ankle a couple of times when I played. And it's a naughty injury. It's a naughty injury. It's easy to do. Once you've done it once, it seems like you can do it again. Seems quite easy to do. Is it a sprained ankle or is it ankle ligament damage? They are very different. Ankle ligament damage can be months. Sprained ankle can be days, a week, 2 weeks, who knows. The fact that as he's falling to the ground, he's already grabbing the foot. He's in tears. I'm sure a lot of you have sprained your ankles before. you don't really... He must have felt a lot of pain straight away. Even if he's only out for a couple of weeks, which at the moment you would say best case scenario 1 or 2 weeks, I can't see him being available for Tottenham. We then play Atalanta next week. We then play Manchester City next week. I mean, even if he missed those 3 games alone, we're in trouble. We're in trouble because who plays in that role for those 3 games? We have to find a solution. Let me get in some of your comments. I want you to let me know. Am I overreacting? Right? Am I overreacting? Listen, like I said, you're going to see a different me this season. I'm not shouting and going crazy right now. I'm managing my own expectation. I want you guys to manage it the same way. One thing I've realised about Arsenal, they will let you down. They will build you up, then let you down. I'm sure that was a song by 50 Cent back in the day. I'll build you up, but if ever I fall down and I need you to pick me up, promise me. I can't remember the name of that song, but yeah, old school. This club will let you down when you least expect it. I'm managing expectation. Some of you will tell me I'm overreacting right now. I'm not expecting no Champions League. I'm not expecting no Premier League title. I'm writing that off. I'm writing it off. You bring me one of them, oh my God, I'll go crazy. What I hope to happen is we win the Champions League and we win the Premier League. What I expect to happen is top 4. We ain't winning none of those 2 trophies. That's where I'm at with it. If something better than that happens, cool. I'm there. I'm hopeful. But I'm staying calm right now. He's returned to London. He was seen getting in a helicopter. And it looked a nasty injury. Now, let's talk about 1 or 2 things. A lot of people were saying last night the international break and international football and so on and so forth. And I get it and I do understand it. 3 games into a season, you don't expect to have an international break. However, every club knows that it's happening. They didn't spring this on Arsenal and Arsenal only. It was always happening. So what you do as a football club is you make sure you're prepared for it. Everybody, we've been sitting here the whole international break saying, these games are dangerous. You know, these are dangerous games. I believe Brazil are playing Uruguay. I think it's tonight, actually. Feisty games. Gabriel Magalhaes, anything can happen in these games. We've seen it. So there was always a possibility someone comes back injured. So the squad had to be deep and quality. Champions League, more games. We got a pretty good draw in the Carabao Cup, so you'd expect us to get to the next round. More games should have meant better squad depth. We've actually turned up with a pretty small squad. And in certain areas where we do have depth, the quality isn't necessarily good enough. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. That is where I'm at. Before we get into some of the stuff that the doctors have said and so on and so forth, I'm going to get into some of your super chats. Beckley said, yo, Curtis Lee Gunner said he DM'd you about doing a collab show. Make this happen for the community. I haven't seen a DM. I will have a look. Big up to Beckley. And big up to Lee if he said he sent a message. I haven't seen it, but I will look. Marco said we have the most delicate fan base on Twitter. And where was the DM, by the way? I don't know. We have the most delicate fan base on Twitter. Same fan base that probably praised that Josh Kroenke. Well, listen. There's a painting of Josh Kroenke outside the Emirates. To me, that tells you everything you need to know about this football club. Like, they're painting an owner that has done nothing at this football club. Like, I'm sorry, I just don't buy into that. I think it's a disgrace. Sam said 1 season in the Champions League, all of a sudden we have PSR issues we have to sell to buy. Odegaard backups, Vieira and ESR sold and loaned. No replacement signed. Crazy. Southern Gooner, my brother Edu must be sacked. The last 5 years of ineptitude in the market is always catching up with us. We are left short every single time. Bro, it's the same story, bro. Arsene Wenger did it for about 5 years. Every year we said, when's this guy going to buy a defensive midfielder? We haven't replaced Vieira and Gilberto Silva. Every year this guy bought more 5'7" attacking midfielders who were brilliant on the ball. We had a team full of Halebs, Cazorlas, Ramses, they were, you know what I mean, all technically gifted. We didn't get he never bought a DM for years. Flamini was about for a bit, Coquelin, but we never had a DM. Wenger went like 5, 6, 7 years with no DM. We chased William Carvalho every year, Jan Villa every year, Krikoviak when he was at PSG. We never bought a DM. This guy refused to buy a 6-foot plus DM for years when we had all these technically quality players. It was crazy. And now we're doing it. Finish the window. Oh, we could have done with a striker. I don't get it. KP, big up Curtis, funeral settings for Arsenal's title hopes. My club won the league with De Bruyne and Haaland injured. Let's see Arsenal mentality. KDB was out for 6 months. 6 months. We've lost 2 midfielders for what, 4, 5, 6 weeks? And we're titling injury crisis. It's crazy. The squad depth should be able to handle that. It makes no sense. Big up Fitz. He said, as long as the Kroenkes, Arteta, Edu, and the Arteta sexuals are at the helm, the club is totally screwed. Ambition and Arsenal are like oil and water. Let's be real. If you look at the Arsenal situation, you've got an inexperienced manager, you've got an inexperienced sporting director, and you've got an inexperienced owner in terms of Josh. Stan owns the club, Josh runs the club. So you've got an owner that's inexperienced, sporting director and a manager. And then you're signing a lot of young players that haven't been successful in their career in terms of major trophies. So where is that winning mentality going to come from? Who knows how to win? Who knows how to get over the finish line? Who's going to demand the best from everybody and understand what it takes to get there? It's not, I don't know. Such said, big up Curtis, hit the likes and subscribe. Big up to you. Charlie said, Edu gambled our season on Odegaard's availability. He needs to catch serious smoke. Unbelievable that he thought he was going to get 38 league games out of him. Dylan said, Wilson's in. Oh, my days goal. Oh, bro. That was the shirt ripping stream. I won't rip shirts this year. We're in a recession. Servan said, the day Arsenal finished second in 2022, that was the transfer window. Arsenal should have been active and would have won the league last year. I mean, we spent big last year. So we were active last year. I just don't think we spent it all appropriately. You know, that was my issue. This year we weren't active. Richard said, a bit off topic, it dawned on me this morning, the same youngers will see the 14 shirt at Arsenal and think of Eddie. You're right. You're right. Older generation, 14 means Thierry. Younger one, 14 means Walcott and Ketia. Maybe Aubameyang, depending on their age. Odegaard at fault for playing. Jorge, listen, do you know what? I'll be honest. It's difficult, and I tweeted this. Everybody was saying Arsenal should have got Odegaard out of the squad. Players, you have to have a medical reason or an understanding with the international team. Yeah, I was reading something about Odegaard and his relationship with the Norwegian press and the fans. He gets a lot of criticism over there. Him and Haaland get the brunt of it, but especially him, because Haaland scores a lot of goals for Norway. So Haaland can turn around and go, I'm banging goals in left, right and centre. There's nothing more I can do. Odegaard is almost the most criticised player in Norwegian football because they look at him as, you're the captain, you're supposed to be the talisman, and Norway didn't even qualify for the Euros. So he's under pressure. So I think even with a knock, he would have been like, I need to play, bro. My country's turning on me right now. I need to try and get them into an international tournament. But maybe Arsenal should have just been brutal and said, look, you're not fit. We got to get you out. I don't know. It's difficult. Witt said, I'm a 96 baby, and Curtis, you're right. The amount of man them used to argue just for the 14. I'm talking Sunday league level, semi-pro down. Bro, everyone wanted to wear 14. It was Thierry. Joba said, Big C, the reality is the ownership doesn't do enough. Edu is not good enough. Players don't want to come and be our squad depth because we haven't won anything and we are delusional. I hear you. Jitesh, not defending Edu, but Arsenal are too nice when it comes to internationals. How many minutes did Palmer or Foden play? Rice and Partey played 290 minutes. Yeah, I hear you on that. We are too nice. And Shamor said, Arsenal rather buy 7 decent... bro. That there is hitting the nail on the head. Arsenal will rather buy 7 decent players than 3 world-class players. That there nails it. Gabriel Jesus, 45 million. Kai Havertz, 65 million. That's 110 million. That should be a world-class striker, right? Granit Xhaka left 8 role. You've got Zinchenko can play there. You've got Marino can play there. Havertz was actually signed to play there. And yet we still, at the moment, unless Marino is the hit, we don't have the answer there. At left back, Timber looks good, but we signed Zinchenko. We had Tierney. We put Kivior there. We've played Tomiyasu there. We've played Calafiori might play there. It's crazy. You buy cheap, you buy twice, people. You buy cheap, you buy twice. We've been doing this for years. We sold Van Persie. We could have signed Suarez. We would have won the title. Instead, we buy Lucas Perez. We buy Olivier Giroud. We buy Danny Welbeck. We buy Lacazette. We buy Lucas Podolski. We buy Shamak. We buy player after... And you could have just paid 50 million. You would have won the league. It's crazy. It is crazy. But we have to find a solution. I know I'm harping on because I'm disappointed more than anything. Because we left ourselves vulnerable for this. That's why I'm so disappointed. Ultimately, it's nobody's fault that players get injured. It can happen at any time. You've got to be prepared for it. City had no De Bruyne for 6 months. They dealt with it. We should be able to deal with it. Odegaard's not out for 6 months. We're hitting the panic button. Because the players we're bringing in, it's crazy. I honestly, and I've been a huge critic of Arteta. If I was Arteta right now, I'd be sitting there thinking, am I signing this contract or not? Because for all the reality, and I believe, you know, he should have won more trophies at Arsenal, considering he spent 750 or nearly 800 million pounds. You look at the market, Vincent Kompany's got the Bayern Munich job. He just got Burnley relegated. The reality of the situation is Mikel Arteta could get a Bayern Munich, a PSG, maybe a Barcelona. You know, okay, they got Hansi Flick. He is a good manager. But what I'm saying, Arteta would have some... He would have some clout in the market if he was to leave Arsenal. He would get a big job. I think they've let him down big time this summer. But he knows what he's signing up for if he signs another contract. He's a part of that. Maybe Manchester City are tapping him up in the background. He knows the club. He was Pep's assistant. I'm sure Pep would recommend him. Anyway, let's just delve a little bit more into this Martin Odegaard situation. We're waiting on the news. I'm hoping we get some news now while I'm live, but I expect something to be announced today. This was Ola Sand, who is the Norway national team doctor. This quote came out last night on Martin Odegaard. He said, Martin is doing quite well now. He got a small ankle sprain. We will see throughout the evening and tomorrow what happens next and what we will do about it. It is currently difficult to say anything about the extent of the damage. Ankle sprains are difficult to deal with straight away, so we almost have to see how things go forward. We will examine him when we are back at the hotel. Maybe we use ultrasound to look at it. If we are unsure, there will be an MRI scan tomorrow. Now, we obviously know now Odegaard has flown back to London this morning, and Arsenal are obviously going to take over the situation. Just thinking back to my own personal self, that I think the shortest time I've ever been out with a sprained ankle is maybe a week to 10 days if you're super lucky. A week to 10 days, because it's one of those injuries, you know, it can feel better and then you go on a slightly funny angle and you can feel pain again and you can aggravate it. So I'll be extremely surprised if he's anywhere near this team this weekend. And it is his left foot, Gunnar G, which is obviously... To be honest, it doesn't really matter that much which foot it is, because if it's your weaker foot, that's the foot that holds the weight of your body when you shoot. So your stability can be off. If it's your shooting foot, the impact can cause pain. So it's bad either way. What we've just got to hope is that this is nothing more than a sprained ankle, which I'm sure most of you in the chat have sprained an ankle at some stage in your life. We may get a week to 2 weeks, best case. If you're talking ligament damage, you can be talking 1 to 2 months easily. So, obviously it's positive that he said Martin is doing quite well. It's obviously very negative that, number one, he's injured. Number too, he was crying. I always think when a player's in tears, yeah, they know that something is worse than normal. You see players tweak their ankle, do they start crying? He probably knew this feels very bad. I could be out for a while, and he was upset and emotional. And obviously the other disappointing thing is that we've got a very, very difficult fixture list over the next 10 days alone. You're looking at Tottenham away, Atalanta away, and Manchester City away with one of our most influential players. So, again, another one bites the dust, people. Like I said, best case scenario, you get him back for City in 10 days. I think that's absolute best case scenario. And we've seen it with Arsenal before in the press conference. It doesn't look like he'll be out for long, and then next minute they're out for months. So let's see. How we've turned up with this size squad is crazy. Is crazy. And like I said, it's not so much the numbers. It's Rice is out. It's going to be probably Jorginho and Thomas Partey. That is not good enough for a big game. It might get us through it, and I hope it does. But it's not good enough. Now Odegaard's out. We're scrambling. If I said to you all in the comments, I said the same thing yesterday. I said, if I said to you now in the comments, who replaces Declan Rice this weekend, you would all give me different answers. Not every single one of you, but you get my drift. Some of you would say put Timber in there. Some of you would say play Jorginho. Some will say play Zinchenko. Some will say drop Havertz back and put Jesus up front. The reason we got so many different answers is because we don't actually know what the best solution is. Now we're in the same situation with Martin Odegaard. How do you replace Odegaard? Do you play Nwaneri, the 17-year-old? Do you let him loose in that role? Do you play Trossard there, who struggled when he played there? Do you drop Havertz back into midfield and play Jesus up front? But Havertz wasn't very good in midfield last season. Is Jesus fully fit? Some people saying put Sterling there. We don't know the answer. Some people saying put Zinchenko there, he plays there for Ukraine. We don't know who to play there. Not because we got so many great options, because there's no option that stands out to us. It's crazy. The next 7 days is absolutely pivotal to this football club. Pivotal. But I don't get it. I don't get it. That window wasn't good enough. It was never good enough. It was never a 7 out of 10. It was never an 8 out of 10. We dragged our heels to get deals done when we needed them done earlier. We didn't get the attacking player that we needed. And we got Sterling on deadline day. But as I said, Shamor, no, I read that one. You were bang on. Benjamin, the owners have spent 208 million for the Nuggets. No surprise. Richard, when looking at no title or Champions League in 20 years, looking at the money spent, are we the least successful of the so-called Big Six? Definitely. Definitely. Especially in the last... in the last 20. Since we won the league, I take out Tottenham, but Tottenham don't win. So, that's the reality of the city. They've won one League Cup. Yeah, they don't win anything. But I said this the other day. I said, when your team has a hot streak, when your team is balling, you're supposed to be successful by winning. You look at all those other teams. Chelsea, 2 Champions Leagues in the last 20 years. Multiple leagues, multiple FA Cups. You look at Liverpool, 2 Champions Leagues, right? In the last 20 years, the comeback against Milan and the when they beat Tottenham, and they've won the league title, and they've won the FA Cup a few times, and they've won the League Cup. And then Man United, okay, they've struggled since Ferguson, but they've won the Europa League, the FA Cup, the League Cup. They won the title multiple times in Ferguson's latter years. And Man City are just cleaning up everything. They've won trebles. They've won 4 in a row. It's probably going to be 5 in a row. So, but what have we done? We won 4 FA Cups. That's not enough. Compare that to the other 4 that I've just named you, bro. Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues. We won 4 FA Cups. Come on. Come on. When's it our turn? Have we not got a right to be saying, when are we going to be living the high life? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, come on. We should be winning things. But you say it on Twitter, entitled fan and all. Missing our whole first choice midfield, ridiculous. I mean, listen, Partey we don't know if Mourinho's even better than Partey. So I think it's too early to say it's our whole first choice midfield. But listen, 2 out of the 3, definitely 2 out of the 3. But 1 centre mid and 1 attacking midfielder. You should be able to replace that. You know, Man City have won their first 3 games. Rodri hasn't kicked a ball. You know, he hasn't kicked a ball. Foden hasn't kicked a ball. That's their attacking midfielder. That's their centre mid. That's their holding midfielder. They played Kovacic. They went to Chelsea and just dusted them like they didn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean? So Bernardo Silva in the pocket. You've got to have squad depth. You got to have squad depth. You sign Eze, he comes in for Odegaard. You sign... Grab Fofana for 25 million. Fofana, there was players there. There was options there. Do we sign Rabiot? I don't know. I don't like him personally, but Prince, no, you are right. And listen, I've spent the first, 30 minutes of this show saying, boy, the team are going to need our support on Sunday. It's the North London derby. The manager is going to need our support on Sunday. That's the reality of the situation. I want people to understand where this frustration is being aimed at. I'm not aiming it at the manager. I'm not aiming it at the players. The players and the manager have been let down by the people upstairs who didn't do their job properly in the summer. What I am looking at with Mikel Arteta is, what can you figure out tactically on Sunday? You've got to pull something out of the bag. You've got to get the right combination here that can still get the better of Tottenham. It's Tottenham at the end of the day. It's a tough game, but it's a winnable game. We've still got our defence, our goalkeeper, and our attack. We're missing 2 players at the end of the day. You should be able to deal with that. But we'll see. Eric said the injury could be a blessing. It could force Arteta to try to get out of his comfort zone, try new tactics. Maybe shifting the squad will bring light to the new options. I mean, it's hard to see the positivity in it, but the ideal situation from this injury to Odegaard really would be if Nwaneri or Zinchenko played in the 8 and had a really good game. Because then you either turn around and go, damn, Zinchenko is actually a good midfielder. Now we've got more strength in depth in midfield because he can play there and we trust him. Or you unleash Nwaneri and you realise we found a young star. So I think Arteta's got to play one of those 2 because I would rather see what else we've got than, you know, just dropping Havertz back into midfield, which for me doesn't work. Richard said it's hard to know who to blame. Edu and Arteta back themselves into a corner by talking about profiles, must match the profile, and that profile seems to be the B-Tech version of what Pep does. Yep, you're right. Shamor said, highest ticket prices, Highbury gone for 4 FA Cups. Was it worth it? I mean, they run with this narrative. And listen, I've got no reason or right to say that isn't true. They run with this story that they believe Arsenal were going to go bankrupt. Our wage bill was high with Thierry and Bergkamp and all these players who were getting big wages. And the story that they used was, you know, they weren't making enough revenue. Highbury was 39,000. Man United, Old Trafford was, I think at the time, 67. They obviously extended it to 75. So they basically said we had to leave Highbury to stop the club from running into financial difficulty. But I think we all know as a fan base that this stadium has not benefited us outside of maybe more availability for tickets on the weekend. It's not as much of a cauldron for away fans. And a good friend of mine who played in the Premier League, I won't name him because he still plays, you'll have heard me mention him before. I said to him, what's it like playing against Arsenal at the Emirates? He said it's like a chance to show yourself. You know, it's like a stage. It's like an audition is the word I'm thinking. He said it's an audition. Big stadium, great pitch, world watching. It's an audition. It's an opportunity for you to get signed by Arsenal or get signed by somebody else. It's not a fortress. It's not an intimidating atmosphere. It's not Anfield on a Champions League night. He said it's an audition. It's an opportunity to go and that's how it's viewed. I don't think people look at the Emirates as a fortress, like with the atmosphere, because it becomes a fortress when you're successful there. It's not the actual stadium, it's what you've done in that stadium and what that stadium means and the history behind it and, all of that. We haven't been successful enough to have turned the Emirates into our real, true spiritual home yet and a fortress for other teams, because they come there and they go, yeah, a couple FA Cups, but the fans are not that intimidating. The pitch is beautiful. The players are not overly physical and aggressive. It's an audition. It's X Factor settings, people. It was never a fortress at the Emirates. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. If we lose to Spurs, the league is done. Arteta and Edu should have signed the likes of Eze, who can play both wings and cam. Yeah, Eze was just there all summer. I don't know why we didn't do it, but it looks like we had no money. Darren said, imagine having 2 players out from the starting 11, having a meltdown. It's crazy. And even though I'm having a moan about it, I'm not actually having a meltdown because Odegaard's injured. I'm having a moan up because I'm like, yo, why did we not ever sit down? Surely you've seen the picture actually on the documentaries. They have the squad on the wall, and they have each player in their position. So right wing, that right winger, that right. So surely when they did number 8, Martin Odegaard, it would have been what? Odegaard, Nwaneri. You must have looked at that and gone, boy, if Odegaard was to get a long-term injury, Nwaneri looks a good young player, but could we run with that for 2 months? City away and Champions League, and he's inexperienced. They must have said, yeah, run with that. We need to balance the books. Smith Rowe's gone. But listen, I think we've got to... What I would say to Arteta is try and unearth something else this weekend. Listen, we've got to get through this Tottenham game. When I say get through this Tottenham game, by the way, I'm talking about beat them. I'm not talking about no draw. I spoke to someone this morning. He said, I'll take a draw against Tottenham. I said, nah. We draw against Tottenham, we're in a mini crisis. Simple as that. We draw against Tottenham, we're in a mini crisis already because of what happened against Brighton. I think minimum you got to get 4 points from the next 2 games. City and Tottenham. You got to beat Tottenham, draw with City, or the other way round. But obviously, reality, it's easier to beat Tottenham. You cannot draw this Tottenham game. You can't. Not with a midweek Champions League game. Just remember, Man City play Wednesday at home. We play Thursday away. They got more rest. We got to beat Tottenham on Sunday. Find a way. Goalkeeper's fine. Defence is fine. The front line's fine. You're missing 2 midfielders. Get on with it. Deal with it. That would be my answer to it. Go and get on with it. You signed Jorginho. You extended Jorginho's contract when most of us felt he should have gone. Partey's here on 200 grand a week. Go on the pitch and show us what you're about. I mean, I don't know what time they'll get there because they're about 60 years old. You know, they might have to get the bus there with the bus pass. And then in the number 8 role, play Zinchenko. He plays there for his country. Or roll the dice and play Nwaneri. And let's see how good he really is. Beat Tottenham, everything settles down. Declan Rice is back. Hopefully Odegaard's not out for too long. And we rebuild from there. I want to see what this club is about. 2 injured players should not be a crisis. Not everyone online crying about international football. It should be, okay, we've got a problem, but these players off the bench can fix it. I want to see how good the manager is, and I want to see how tactically nous he is. Gunnar G, I downloaded the SofaScore app the other day. Big up everyone who has. Hit the like button, over 2,000 of you in the chat. Really appreciate it. Over 60s bus pass settings, man. Alberto said we're in a world of trouble. We're looking at top 4. We didn't do enough in the transfer window. No, we didn't. Part-time party. I'm tired of the PSR, BS, Fabian Ruiz on loan. Evan Ferguson, 1 or 2 windows ago, was touted as a 100 million target, heavily discounted, and Kudus last summer. Listen, that guy on TalkSport, I think someone said it in the comments. He said Arsenal are not running the line of PSR. He said they're not. They make loads of money. They're not huge spenders in the market. And they've sold well this year. We could have spent more money, according to him. How true that is, I don't know. Amaru said, Big C, nothing against Arteta. We said we need to strengthen the back line because Gabby and Willow went injury-free all season. But what of the midfield? Isn't it crazy that Edu and Mikel Arteta were centre midfielders? Yet our centre midfield is still dysfunctional outside of Declan Rice. You know, Mourinho's just come in. He's injured. Jorginho could have probably gone last year. Partey could have probably gone last year. It's crazy. Cole said time to go 4-4-2 or 3-5-2 would shock teams. When's the last time Arteta started a game with a different formation? He don't do it. He does not do it. He will turn up with the same formation, in my opinion. Richard, where are the 54 formations and subbing goalkeepers that at half-time that Arteta spoke about in phase 17? We're still waiting for it. D. Brown said, Zinni or Ethan in the 8. Who would you go for, people? I think realistically, you've got to go Zinchenko. You've got to go Zinni. But I would like to see Nwaneri. But I think he'll go Zinni for the experience. He's playing there for Ukraine. That's his position. He played there his whole career. He only played left back for City because Mendy got injured. Oh, he didn't. No, he didn't get injured. I take it back. Mendy was in prison. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think you go Zinni. Because I like... Listen, Nwaneri, I watched him in pre-season. You all did. I thought he was fantastic. There is no doubt there is talent there. And I am a believer sometimes in just throwing a young player in and it's sink or swim. I think Tottenham away is a tough game for any player at Arsenal because of what it means and the emotion. And the problem is, if Nwaneri had a poor game, a lot of people would write him off so quickly, and I just don't want that to happen to him. I'd much rather his debut was a home game against Ipswich, or you know what I mean, just a better environment for him to sort of grow into it. Definitely at the Emirates. Start Zinni and bring Nwaneri on if Zinni ain't working. But we'll see. We'll see. I personally think he's going to play Havertz. I think he'll drop Havertz back and play Jesus up front. But then you're playing Partey as a lone 6, and Partey as a lone 6, that doesn't feel like that could work either. So actually, no. In fact, yeah, no, because Jorginho would play as well. I think he'll play Jorginho, Partey, and I think he'll drop Havertz back into the 8, and then I think he'll play Jesus up front. He did it a couple times in pre-season. It's experience. And I think that's what he'll go with. I don't think he would take the risk of Nwaneri. LSU said a compulsive planner like Arteta already knew what we would do without Odegaard. Judge Arteta on results. Lots of Nando supporters in the chat to stir it up. Hey, man. Well, the problem is, we hear about compulsive planning. Edu tells us, 6 months ago, I know what we're doing in the window. You're like, okay, it's all planned, it's lined up. Then you're scrapping to get Sterling on the last day of the window, and you're like, actually, where was the 6 months planning? I can't see it. Or where are the 180-page dossiers that you told us about? You know, it don't take 180 pages to tell you that we needed a striker this summer, or that we needed squad depth for Saka, or that Odegaard didn't have sufficient cover. So he might say he's a compulsive planner, but I don't know what he's planning. Big up Matt Southern Gooner. Did you hear the recent Edu interviews? Oh, bro. I did hear it. You know, the thing that worried me about that interview, this guy was pretty definitive before about, 5 years and phase this. The guy's now saying, if this goes wrong, then it can end up being 7, 8 years. Well, hang on a minute. 2 years ago, remember when we signed Sambi Lokonga? And this guy did the Jeff Shreves interview. I actually did a video assessing that interview. And this guy was going, we didn't want to sign an upgrade on Partey or Xhaka this summer because, we view them as our first choice. So we got somebody who can, be a backup and learn from them. Okay, how did that work out, mate? Because I didn't see Sambi Lokonga pulling up trees at Arsenal. He got loaned out to Palace. They said, no thanks. He got loaned out to... where did he go? Luton. They got relegated. They couldn't afford him. That might have been his level. He's now been loaned out to Sevilla and he's injured already. There's no obligation to buy him. So guess where Sambi Lokonga's going to be next pre-season? He's going to be right back at Arsenal because Sevilla aren't going to buy him. And he'll be at Arsenal with a year left on his contract with nobody really wanting to buy him. That'll be 3 failed loan moves. Arguably, you could say the Luton loan move went well for him. He actually played quite well there. They got relegated. They couldn't buy him. Couldn't afford him. So, yeah, it's interesting. That interview was worrying. It sounded like excuses. Carl said, wouldn't mind seeing Trossard in the 8 and Havertz in the 10. He did try Trossard, didn't he, last season a couple of times, centre mid. It didn't work. Didn't work, but listen, he's got to find a solution. Couple of things that we're going to talk about. Big up to everyone locked in. Really, 2,100 outside of the transfer window and during an international break is unbelievable support. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone tuned in. Do me 2 favours. Caress, smash, punch the like button and subscribe. We're in subscriber only mode. Get this channel up. I think we're at 81k now. Let's hit 100k this year. Put Saka in the other 8, Sterling on the right. A lot of people have said over time that Saka could play central. He's not going to do that, is he? He's just not going to do it. Timber as an 8, and I can't see it. Maybe he could have done Timber as a 6, but Salo said Edo out, sack that damn fraud. Didn't he win like European Sporting Director of the Year? I mean, do me a favour. Who handed that award out? Josh Kroenke? I mean, come on. I'll say it now. Play Nwaneri, balls against Spurs. Arteta needs all the help you can get. Listen, if Nwaneri started, I would be in favour of it. I'll be honest. But I just can't see him doing that. He doesn't seem like a crazy risk taker. Kai West said, when they gave Edu the job, who knows? Giving an ex-player such a high-level board jobs without much experience is, crazy. We've turned it... Isn't it funny, right? When you look at the ex-players, sometimes it's good having ex-players at your club, but ultimately it does depend if they're good at their job. I'm not one of these that, we need ex-players here. No, I don't mind you being here if you're superb at your job, not just for the sake of it. We've got Per Mertesacker, was an average centre-back. We got Jack Wilshere, who could have been a superstar, but in the end his career didn't happen. You've got Edu, who was a solid centre mid, but he was a backup dancer. And that's me being honest. He wasn't a starter for us. He was a backup player. And you got Mikel Arteta, who, again, in my opinion, no disrespect, I think he was an average player at Arsenal. He was Cesc Fabregas' replacement. Fabregas was absolute world class. Arteta was a half-decent centre mid from Everton. Isn't it funny that the 4 ex-Arsenal players that we've got at the club are all 4 players that didn't particularly have big careers at the football club? Ain't that interesting? No Thierry, no Dennis Bergkamp, no Tony Adams, no Pires. None of the Arsenal legends are at the football club. Why do you think that is? Are they a little bit more... Are they going to talk a little bit more than a guy who had an average career, who's happy to be here, who's going to say all the right things and just, yes, sir, thank you very much? Why is Thierry not at Arsenal working with the attacking players? It's interesting. It is interesting. Big up Gamer Wolf, new member. Really appreciate that, bro. They need an actual job. That is a good point. Sterling, Martinelli and Saka up front. I've always said I'd like to see Martinelli up front, but they just don't seem interested in it, do they? Saliba said, Petit has been keeping the standards high. Top Gunners don't like it. That's why he doesn't work at the club. Remember when didn't Henry say something about Xhaka once? Remember when Henry said he turns his screen off when Xhaka wears the armband? People online were disrespecting Thierry Henry. That tells you everything of social media. They were willing to turn on our greatest ever player because he disrespected Granit Xhaka. It's wild. It is actually wild. Couple of stories. Let's finish off with a few bits and then we'll get out of here, people. I feel like I've had a moan today about Arsenal, but it's frustrating. It is frustrating. 2 injuries shouldn't be an injury crisis, but it feels like an injury crisis at Arsenal. We got 7 days, people. Like Craig David said, Monday. Atalanta on Tuesday. No, Wednesday. Play City on Sunday. I mean, I'm telling you, that 7 days could make or break Arsenal's season. Real talk. That 7 days could make or break our season. Because Arsenal are a club that seem to work in in spells. So it's like if we beat Tottenham, all of a sudden I'd be more positive we could go and trouble City. But if we drop points to Tottenham, City is an absolute cat D write-off car crash. Like, it's a nightmare. Dre, it wasn't the best of remixes, I can't lie. I was thinking of lyrics, I was all over the place. Man are calling Team News and Ticks Dream News and Twix. Like, Dream News and Twix, you know. Man are saying he's just making it up. Dream News and Twix. He's just making stuff up for us, people. Here's more PR, people. What this does, this gets Arsenal out of a situation where people like me can't complain that we didn't buy a striker. Because stories like this get them out of it. Wouldn't it be funny? And think about this. And I'm doing up conspiracy theory here, which I apologise because some people get really annoyed when you do this. But think about this. Somebody who works at Arsenal could make up a social media account, get a few things right, like the team lineup, bit of injury news, stuff that they wouldn't mind leaking on social media. And remember, when they see accounts getting things right, it picks up traction really quickly, right? And then what you do, you make it a faceless account, which he is. He's doing up videos now and putting up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as pictures rather than himself. And then he puts out transfer news and he puts out stories and all because he's got a few things right. And didn't they say PSG were doing this? People within PSG were on social media making up accounts. It's not difficult to do, people. It is not difficult to do. Every Arsenal fan goes into the summer saying, let's get Ivan Toney this summer. A story comes out that Arsenal met Ivan Toney and his attitude was terrible. So every Arsenal fan says, not every Arsenal fan, by the way, but some Arsenal fans go, I don't want Ivan Toney now because you've hypnotised me with the PR. I'm hypnotised. Look into my eyes. Don't look into the eyes. Look around the eyes. Look into the eyes. I'm hypnotised. I must do whatever Arsenal tell me to do. I don't want Ivan Toney. That's what all the Arsenal fans did. Ivan Toney's attitude stinks. How do you know that? Charles Watts tweeted it. How does Charles Watts know that? Oh, actually, I don't know how he does know that. So how do you know what he's saying is actually true? Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe it's not actually true. So, do you want Ivan Toney? Actually, I probably would take Ivan Toney. Oh, so you just didn't think about what you was reading and make your own mind up on the situation. Actually, yeah, that's right. I didn't think with my own brain. I just followed the social media accounts with big numbers. But actually, they're just doing whatever the club wants them to do. Oh, yeah, that's how it works, right? And if you go against what all of them say, they call you toxic. Oh, okay. Oh, there we go. That's how it works. Can you imagine if social media was about when we had Thierry? They said Thierry had a bad attitude. I know people who worked at Arsenal when they said Henry had a bad attitude. Clear pass to him. If you don't get the ball to him, yo. Do you think these guys could deal with Thierry? They'd be crying. They'd be saying, get rid of... Oh, Arsenal didn't sign Thierry Henry because his attitude was bad. Oh, yeah. Big C just broke the matrix. I'm telling you, people, we got to break the matrix, man. We got to break the matrix in life and in football. We got to get through this. And I ain't talking about the song by Daniel Bedingfield in the early 2000s. But we got to get through this, people, man. What we doing out here? Don't fall for the trap. They set us up out here, people. So, yeah, back to it. They get through the Toney thing, so then everyone turns on Toney. And then now, the window's closed. Oh, guess what? We've looked online. Everyone's a bit angry that we didn't buy a striker. You know, what are we going to do to calm them down? They're talking about Osimhen going Galatasaray. Why didn't we buy him? I tell you what we'll do. Dream News and Twix. We'll put a tweet out. Arsenal's interest in Victor Osimhen waned at the beginning of the year due to concerns over his attitude and high wage demands. Osimhen's public spat with the Nigerian national team on Instagram also put paid to any interest from the club. Oh, yeah, there we go. So now there's another excuse. Yeah, we didn't buy Tony because he turned up for a meeting and his attitude stunk, apparently. Yeah, good one. And then because this guy had an argument with the Nigerian national... Oh, we're not going anywhere near him. That's funny, that. Didn't Ben White have a bust-up with the England manager? But we're not going to sell him, are we? We're not going to sell Ben White because he's had a public spat with Gareth Southgate. Who, in reality, who cares? Do you care? Do I care? I don't give a damn if he fell out with Southgate. Turn up on a Saturday for Arsenal, play well. That's all I care about. Did Wayne Rooney have a good attitude? Not really. He was in hotel rooms with grandmas. Did Man United fans care? Did they hell? Did you care that Thierry was going crazy at players in training who didn't pass the ball to him right? No. You was asking for the 14 shirt, you wore gloves with your football top, and you pulled your socks above your knees. You didn't give a damn. You didn't give a damn. Who cares? Win trophies. Be successful. Who cares about the personal life? Oh, Lee Carsley should be sacked as England manager because he didn't sing the national anthem. Who gives a damn? He's played 40 times for Ireland. Did you expect him to sing the national anthem? No. Who cares? Do we want to win or do we want to just be a nice team? Like, are we going on holiday together this summer? The whole fan base. We're not. Win trophies. Stop making excuses. Dream News and Twix. Dream News and Twix. There'll be a Gyökeres story soon as well. He was probably demanding too much wages as well. And then I'm going to finish off with the icing on the cake. And damn, I have moaned today. I can't lie. I'm looking back on the show now. I'm thinking, boy, that was a real. But I don't care. We've done it already. So let's just finish it off. Let's just finish it off. Man said, sounds like subtle racism and a stereotype of black men, Osimhen and Tony. Well, let me not say too much. Let me not say too much. We don't want to go into that. We've always said before, maybe only a certain type of person will be signed under this regime. If you're a little bit too much about the culture and you're a little bit outspoken and arrogant, they're probably going to keep their distance. Do you know what I'm saying? But let me not say too much because, I want to make sure we're back on stream tomorrow. Our fan base is so hive-minded, they follow anything, says Thermal. And Dr. Seymour said, which other manager in all football history has spent this much, won nothing and kept their job? And still be 3 to 5 world-class players short of winning. Cronkays are earning their money, bro. The Cronkays are earning. Let's finish off with this. Because this just was the cherry on the cake for me today. This was the cherry on the cake. What I've noticed with Arsenal, everything is everyone else's fault, unfortunately. Declan Rice got sent off. I do agree about that. That was harsh. The referee should have used common sense. However, Declan Rice kicked the ball away. He has to take some responsibility. Odegaard gets injured. It's FIFA's fault for having international fixtures this early in the season, even though every other club team has let their players go, but it affects Arsenal more than anybody else. Then, just go on Twitter if you're on Twitter and type this guy's name in. He's probably trending, by the way. Just as I'm about to go live, I'm just scrolling because I have to make sure there's no breaking news that I miss. And I'm like, why are all Arsenal fans talking about Jared Gillett? Is that how you spell his name? How you say his name, sorry? These are things that I never understood back in the day. Like, when did you actually figure out who the referee was before you turned up for a game? It's the Premier League. The referees are not good anyway. It doesn't really matter who the ref is. But they're going crazy about Jared Gillett. And I'm like, why? What's the problem? He's born in Australia. And guess what? We're playing Tottenham. And guess what? Ange Postecoglou, their manager, is from Australia. So now, guess what the narrative is? Jared Gillett's going to cheat Arsenal out of the North London derby because the Tottenham manager's from Australia. So if we lose on Sunday and anything dodgy happens, the conspiracy will continue, people. And journalists are tweeting this. Not just football fans with social media accounts. Journalists. Jared Gillett. Let's have a look. Jared Gillett, people, is all over Arsenal Twitter because he's Australian. So apparently, he's going to cheat us out of the game this weekend just because he's from the same country. Jared Gillett. Look at this. First tweet. Australian football ref will ref the North London derby. Can they not find referees that are signed to the actual clubs we play? What? Surely being from the area should count against them. Oh. Let's have a look what else they're saying. It's absolute... Why? When did you know who the referee was going to be before a fixture? I don't give a damn who the referee is. They're all pretty average. The biggest game of this weekend, the North London derby. Guess who the ref is? Jared Gillett. Arguably the worst ref in the land. They're all going mad. They're all going mad. Arteta will not be pleased who the referee is. Jared Gillett. Australian ref will referee the derby. Ironically, the Tottenham manager is from Australia. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Do me a favour. Do me a favour. Listen, move the ball well. Put the ball in the back of the net. Keep it moving. Get the 3 points. I don't care who the ref is. Yeah, if he gives a strange penalty or red card, we'll talk about it. Pre-match, you're already talking about the ref. Type in his name. I beg you guys, just see the reaction. See the amount of tweets from Arsenal fans talking about the ref. I can't believe it. It's trending. Jared Gillett. It's trending right now. Unbelievable. Edu should be trending. Kroenke should be trending. But Jared Gillett's trending. So if we lose, I'm just letting you know the narrative, what you're going to get. The referee cheated us out of the game. That's what they're going to say. Because he's from Australia. But they'll make out as if he's a boyhood Tottenham fan and he's got posters of Jurgen Klinsmann and Ledley King on his wall. I don't know. But listen, I'm out of here, people. What a moany show. I have to... I'm finishing the show thinking, you absolute... But this is what Arsenal does to you, people. I'm not even shouting. I'm just... What am I? What's the word to describe it? I'm just kind of tired of the excuses. Like, how many years are we meant to wait before we finish a transfer window and we go, that was a good window, man. We got what we needed. Or, damn, that they did something this summer that makes you really... Are you guys sitting here now thinking, you know what, I really believe we can win the title. I believe we can do this Man City team this season. I don't feel like that. I'm actually the opposite. I'm thinking we might fall away from them a little bit this season. Like, I think we'll get top 4 because I don't think there's 4 better teams than us. But I'm not here thinking, with that business we just did, we're pushing them all the way. I'm actually sat there thinking we might fall off it a bit this season. Unknown C said 1 or 2 injuries away from a top 4 battle. Paul Merson, he was right, bro. He was right. And here we are. People, I'm out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. Try not to moan as much tomorrow, but it's Arsenal. It's what they do to you. Enjoy the rest of your day, people. Take care. Bless.